to the Awakened Parent Project, conscious conversations, empowered parenting with me, Susan Dolci. It's time to open our hearts and our minds to what it means to be a parent, exploring and expanding the ways we communicate, validate, and show up daily for our kids. With a parent-centric focus, you learn to become more present, a better active listener, more reflective, more engaged, and mutually empowered. Parenting isn't about perfection. It's about presence, honesty, self-compassion, unconditional love, and conscious communication. The Awakened Parent Project starts now. Hey everybody, welcome to the Awakened Parent Project. I'm your host, I'm Susan Dolci. I am a certified parent coach with the Jai Institute for Parenting, and it's my hope that you will find this a safe space to journey on a path of both practical and spiritual self-exploration. From the time my first daughter was born in 1994, I have 3 daughters. My first one was in 1994. I've been driven by a vision where children are nurtured both physically and spiritually by adults who are present, grounded, and empowered. I believe that conscious communication, self-exploration, and self-forgiveness are the tools that enable parents to foster deep, lasting connections with their children. Parenting isn't about perfection. I say this over and over again. It's about presence, honesty, self-compassion, unconditional love, and conscious communication. And today, I am excited to share with you 8 ways to prepare for peaceful parenthood. Having your first child is such a special time in your life. It's so exciting, yet so scary at the same time. And likely your mind is swirling with worrisome thoughts like, will I be a good parent? What if my baby cries a lot? What if my baby's colicky? I don't know what to do. How will I know what's wrong? Babies can't talk. Or maybe you don't even know how to change a diaper. Having your first child can bring up all sorts of emotions. Excitement at having this wonderful new life in your world, or fear of the unknown. And it's okay. These feelings are super common for first-time parents. I think we all feel that way. The unpredictable nature of parenting is something that many new parents struggle with. It can be so hard to know what's wrong and how you react in certain situations. But the 8 ideas I'm going to share with you today should help ease your worries about being a newbie parent. So, what exactly is peaceful or gentle parenting or conscious parenting? We hear this term a lot, right? Peaceful parenting is a term used to describe a range of gentle, conscious parenting techniques. These techniques emphasize peaceful resolutions of conflicts, communication with children, and understanding your child's point of view. The goal is to create a calm and harmonious home environment in which both parents and children can thrive. At the Jai Institute for Parenting, where I got my certification, the specific tools and strategies that we teach parents are grounded in the foundations of nonviolent communication, emotional intelligence, and the science of neuroplasticity by Dr. Bruce Lipton. And these strategies allow parents to successfully shift out of the dominant power over paradigm of parenting, which a lot of us were raised that way in a very authoritarian household, which creates disconnection, resentment, and oftentimes rebellion. And we want to switch that to a more relational paradigm of parenting, which restores connection, trust, and builds respect. One of the first things we ask parents to do is to get clear about their intentions. What kind of parent do you want to be? Are you looking for a more peaceful home environment? Or are you hoping to change your child's difficult behavior? The truth is, it's never too early or too late to start thinking about the kind of parent you want to be and setting your intentions accordingly. Once you have clarity around your goals, it becomes much easier to find the tools and techniques that will work best for you and your family. Perhaps you were raised in a home where your mom and dad yelled a lot, where you were punished regularly, or perhaps you even experienced corporal punishment. If you're anything like me, you probably made a promise to yourself that you would parent differently when you had kids, that you didn't want to model your parents' methods. If there is one thing that all conscious parents have in common, it's their commitment to creating a safe and healthy environment where both children and adults can thrive and flourish. So let's dive into the 8 ways you can prepare yourself for the kind of peaceful parent you truly want to be. Now, this might seem like an obvious idea, but I don't think people have these conversations because they assume they're going to be awesome parents right from the start, right? I mean, I don't think we go into it thinking, I'm going to be a sucky parent. You think, I'm going to be a great parent. But my first idea is to talk to other parents about what it's like to be a parent today. Have conversations. Parenting today can be a lot different than when our parents were raising us. There are so many conscious parenting, peaceful parenting, and gentle parenting techniques that we can use to raise kids in a more positive, connected way. We all have different families and different experiences, so it's always interesting to hear about other people's lives as parents. Ask your friends and family members what it's like for them to be a parent today. What challenges have they faced? What has been the most rewarding part about being a parent? Here's a good one. What weren't they prepared for? Or what did they wish they knew before they brought their baby home? These are all really good questions to ask friends, family, people, your friends who are just having children. I can say for me that I always looked at being a parent as so much more than just the care and feeding of children. Before I even considered being a mom, I felt that the real job of a parent is to not just keep your child safe, fed, and clothed, but that I was being gifted with this tiny soul to nurture. And the other, and maybe the most important part of parenting to me, is helping my child to grow into her fullest expression of her authentic soul self. So a good place to start is to ask the questions. And this leads me to the next step. This is going to be a doozy. We've got some really meaty things to get through here, but I want you to understand intention setting and your values as an empowered parent. So we're going to walk through what it means to set your intentions and what it means to consider your values for your family. So these two things kind of go in hand in hand. So do some soul searching and decide what kind of parent you want to be and the type of family you want to create. What values would you like to instill in your children? So let's start with the intentions part. This is an exercise for both you and your partner. You are the model for your child. You set the stage. So it's very important that you have clear intentions for yourself and your relationship with your child. I'm going to offer you 3 questions to consider. So you might want to grab some pencil and some paper to help you explore your intentions. And there are no wrong answers to any of these questions. So the first one, what are 3 goals or intentions you have for your relationship with yourself as a parent? So like for me, it was learning to trust my instincts and to stop being afraid of criticism. Okay, so 3 goals or intentions for your relationship with yourself as a parent. Number 2, what are 3 goals or intentions for your relationship with your children? Maybe you want to be a more patient parent than your mom or dad, or you want your kids to feel seen and heard because you felt like no one understood you when you were little. Okay. 3, question number 3, what are 3 goals or intentions for your family as a whole? I know for me, it was to have an open flow of communication and mutual respect for all members of the family. I wanted my kids to respect me, not out of fear, like the classical power over paradigm, but because I showed them the same love and respect, even though they were little children. At Jai, we teach that everybody's needs in the family matter, not just the kids' needs, not just the parents, but the whole family deserves to have their needs met. So part 2 of this exercise, and item number 3, is determine what your personal values are. It's time to define the things that are important to you. And this exercise gives you a framework for identifying your personal core and present life values. In the Ultimate Parent Success course that I offer, we give clients a list of about 80 values to choose from. But for now, without that list of 80, try and list your top 3 personal values. When I did this exercise, mine were gratitude, harmony, and service. Then ask yourself, what qualities would you like to see in your children when they are adults? My list, for example, was self-agency, integrity, tolerance, good health, charity, and then I included my 3, gratitude, harmony, and service. The reason this is an important exercise is because as you move forward in your parenting style, it is precisely your intentions and your values that drive how you handle future conflicts. Let's just say that your kids are fighting over a toy, and you know that one of your values is teamwork. One of the steps in diffusing the argument, besides co-regulation, which is a topic for a whole nother show, very in-depth, is to remind your kids in the throes of the fight that you value teamwork and cooperation in your family. So how can you come up with a solution together that supports that value and puts an end to the fight? We have a methodology called the PEACE process, which is an acronym, the PEACE process, that we teach parents, which is actually a script for diffusing family conflicts of really any size. So of course, that was a simplified example, but my point is that before your little one arrives, it's a really good idea to have this discussion with your partner so that when conflicts arise, which they undoubtedly will, you will basically have a mission statement for your family that you can rely on again and again when resolving conflicts. Okay, so let's move on to number 4. Remember your own childhood. This is huge. I want you to step back in time and remember how you felt when you were a kid. What did you like when you were growing up? What do you want to avoid when raising your kids? Thinking back to how your parents raised you can give you answers to both questions. Perhaps you want to be a gentle parent because you were raised in a dominant power over paradigm, the kind of household where children were meant to be neither seen nor heard. Maybe there was a lot of yelling or punishing, and you know that there is no way on earth you will parent like you were parented. Or maybe the opposite was true. Your parents pretty much let you do whatever you wanted without any healthy boundaries or safeguards. This is known as a power under parenting paradigm. It's a very avoidant, hands-off approach that could be the result, the pendulum swinging back from the way they were parented if they came from a very power over parenting environment. They swing all the way over to the other side and they're very hands-off. What we're going for is a balance, and that would be empowered parenting, a more relational style of raising kids. Because here's what I call a universal parenting truth. Unless we make a conscious effort to change the paradigm, we will default to how we were parented. It's all we know. It's what was modeled for us. This is why it's especially important to have a conversation about values and parenting styles long before you start a family. If gentle parenting techniques have been resonating with you, there's a good chance that it's because you're ready to start breaking the generational patterns that have been passed down to you. Your inner child is patiently waiting for you to be reparented. You reparent your little one to be the kind of parent you needed when you were little. When you reconnect with your inner child, you're able to break these generational patterns that have been passed down to you. This can be incredibly freeing and empowering, especially if you felt stuck in a cycle of dysfunction. By nurturing your inner child, you create space for new possibilities to emerge. And reconnecting with your inner child will help you build a stronger relationship with your own kids. When we better understand the things that made us happy as children, we can create similar opportunities for joy for our own families, like playing games together, going on nature walks, or just reading stories before bedtime are all simple ways to connect with your kids and show them how much you care. We're talking about 8 ways to prepare for peaceful parenting. We're going to take a quick break. I'm Susan Dolci. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to the Awakened Parent Project, and today we are talking about 8 ways to prepare for peaceful parenting. That's a lot of alliteration. So let's move on. We're on item number 5, and this one is loaded with information. And in big letters, I say, do your research. So what do I mean by that? Well, we already know, if you're listening, that gentle parenting is something that's important to you. After all, we want what's best for our children, and gentle parenting techniques can provide that. But what if I told you that understanding attachment science was just as, if not more important? They really are equally important in my eyes. Attachment science is the study of how people form relationships. And when it comes to raising our children, it's essential to understand how this works. After all, our relationship with our child is one of the most important in their lives. SimplePsychology.org says attachment theory in psychology originated with the work of John Bowlby. In the 1930s, John Bowlby worked as a psychiatrist in the Child Guidance Clinic in London, where he treated what this website says emotionally disturbed children. This experience led Bowlby to consider the importance of the child's relationship with their mother in terms of their social, emotional, and cognitive development. Specifically, it shaped his belief about the link between early infant separations with the mother and later maladjustment, and led Bowlby to formulate his attachment theory. So think about when you were little, was there a significant event or an amount of time that took you away from your mother? I know my mom, I was probably only a few months old when my mother was hospitalized for pneumonia. So I'm sure that in those early days does definitely impact the attachment process. So there are basically three main types of attachment that we talk about in the Ultimate Parent Success course: secure attachment, insecure attachment, which also has two subsets, and disorganized attachment. And most people have a mix of these depending on who their primary and secondary caregivers were. But today I'm going to focus on talking about what a secure attachment is. According to attachment science, it's the emotional bond that forms between parents and their children. A secure attachment allows kids to feel safe and loved, which in turn helps them to grow into confident adults. One of my favorite books on attachment science and parenting is a book by Daniel Siegel and Tina Payne Bryson titled The Power of Showing Up. And the subtitle of that is How Parental Presence Shapes Who Our Kids Become and How Their Brains Get Wired. I mean, this is a big deal. According to Siegel and Payne Bryson, a secure attachment is the ultimate goal for parents. So what does it mean to show up? Showing up means we are first present as we can possibly be in our body, heart, and mind, able to meet our child where they are without judgment, resentment, or blame. Second, showing up is persevering as we can be in our ability to remain patient, resilient, and flexible. And third, as dedicated as we can possibly be to our parenting, knowing that no one does it perfectly all the time. This is why understanding your intentions as a parent is so important, something I believe every parent should give a few moments to consider at the start of every day. Attachment is our brain's understanding of these three dynamics: that we feel connection and intimacy are safe and dependable, or dangerous and unpredictable. That we believe our emotions are manageable and we can trust our bodies, or emotions are dangerous and our bodies can't survive the stress. And finally, third, that our inner world makes sense and we are worthy of being seen and heard and understood, or who we are doesn't make sense and we don't deserve to be understood or accepted. This is important because the quality of attachment that we as the adult received in our childhood has created the quality of our own attachment to those three components I just mentioned. To show up for our children and ourselves, we must begin the process of earning a secure attachment. If we find ourselves experiencing more insecure moments than secure, yes, that starts with inner child work I mentioned earlier. How do you create a secure attachment with your child? Well, it starts with gentle parenting techniques, being patient and understanding, being an active and present listener, trying to see the world from your child's point of view, and obviously never using physical or verbal punishment. This gives me the opportunity to talk about my pet peeve. I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a minute. Please don't listen to anyone who says you hold your baby too much, or that sleep training is what your child needs in order to sleep through the night. Your baby is incapable of manipulating you. If a child is crying, it's because there is some need not being met. So yes, this will be an experience of trial and error in trying to find out what your baby needs, but it's critical in forming a secure attachment. Creating a secure attachment takes time and effort, but it's well worth the investment. By establishing a strong connection with your child early on, you'll lay the foundation for a lifelong relationship of trust and love. Okay, so another topic to research is nervous system science. What does this have to do with parenting, you might ask? If we are not aware and connected with our autonomic nervous system, especially the physical cues our bodies give us, then we cannot access consciousness and make conscious choices when we are triggered. We become at the mercy of our reactivity, and that does not feel good. To be triggered means that our nervous system is perceiving a signal of threat in our environment, telling our body and brain to prepare to fight or flee. It means that our body and brain are working together to figure out how to get us out of physical or emotional harm and into safety as soon as possible. Unfortunately, a lot of us have had childhoods loaded with chronic stress and unconscious fear, which is now sadly imprinted on our nervous system, meaning that we are so used to feeling stressed and afraid, it becomes normal. And what that means is that because of this prolonged stress, our signal receptors begin to translate safe cues as dangerous. For example, your child crying in the car seat isn't dangerous, but your body might feel like it's on fire. Or you had a fight with your teenager and it makes you feel like you want to run and hide. A fight with a teenager is not dangerous. Running and hiding is not necessary. The reason this dysregulation is so destructive is because it tends to lead to power over or power under parenting strategies just to cope. When we understand how our nervous system works, it becomes easier to tune into our children's signals and respond in ways that help them feel safe, understood, and valued. But that means we also have to find methods to bring our nervous system into alignment. This is co-regulation that I mentioned. I could do a whole show on co-regulation. We need to explore what sensory calming tools we can use to bring ourselves into right relationship with our own nervous system. Learning what tools work best for you to calm your nervous system is covered extensively in my parenting course. When we parent from a place of understanding and connection, rather than reacting out of fear or confusion, we open up possibilities for more positive change in our families. So I'm going to take a little break here. I'm going to drink some water. We are talking about 8 ways to prepare for peaceful parenting. That's really hard to say. I really should have titled this differently, but you're listening to the Awakened Parent Project. We'll be back in a little bit. Welcome back. This is the Awakened Parent Project. I'm Susan Dolci, and today I am talking about 8 ways to prepare for peaceful parenting. And before the break, I was talking about attachment science. I talked about nervous system science. The science that's out there today, I wish I knew about this stuff when my kids were little. I cannot encourage young parents or people who are planning on starting families to discover and read up on these different topics. We're going to keep going on research. I said, do your research. And one more thing I want you to prepare for and study is brain science. I'm not talking about learning all the different parts of the brain and what they do, although that is kind of cool. But I'm talking about how we can use what we know about the brain to our advantage when we're raising kids. Again, in Siegel and Payne Bryson's book, The Power of Showing Up, they talk about how gentle parenting techniques work with the way the brain develops. And they have a methodology called mindsight. And in their book, it's described as one's ability to see inside their own mind and the mind of another with curiosity, openness, acceptance, and love. I believe Siegel also has a book by the name of Mindsight. When our children feel seen by us and understood without judgment or fear, their brains actually grow. Their brains actually grow. Feeling seen is a prerequisite for feeling safe. When we feel safe, we develop, integrate, grow, and thrive. It's basically our willingness to see beneath the behavior, when I'm talking about mindsight, to see beneath the behavior and truly get curious about what is going on beneath the surface, which is what's creating the behavior. At JAI, we call it the root to bloom process. So think of the bloom as the behavior. So let's say a tantrum. What's beneath the surface of the tantrum? What's really driving it? I assure you, it is not the thing that the tantrum is about. It's not about not getting the cookie. That was just the stick that broke the camel's back. It's the 10 other things that happened before the meltdown that led to it. So I can use mindsight to try and figure out what need was not being met that led to the meltdown, and address my child with empathy and understanding instead of resorting to yelling and screaming or threats. One last topic that I think you should read up on is emotional intelligence. I always laugh when I hear emotional intelligence, because I got into a big argument with still a good friend of mine many years back over emotional intelligence. Actually, I was not a proponent of it, but I also had not done my research because it was just a hot topic back in the 90s when I was having my kids. And now there are a lot of books on this topic. But if you just started with The Power of Showing Up by Daniel Siegel and Tina Payne Bryson as like your first book to introduce you to attachment science, nervous system science, brain science, and emotional intelligence. It's a fabulous book. You can find all of these books probably in the library, or maybe you can even borrow them from friends. But I'm hoping to actually put together a mini course just on the sciences, just on these sciences that I've talked about, for people who want to explore parenthood. So I can say for a fact, my oldest daughter has friends who just had babies, who are pregnant, about to have babies, and I'm a big quilter. So they all will get a baby quilt and the Power of Showing Up book, because I cannot recommend it enough. Okay, so item number 6, which is kind of similar to number 5, and that is visiting parenting websites. There are so many great websites, authors, and coaches out there. And I'm going to list a few of my favorites. I'm not affiliated with any of these coaches. Some of them I've interviewed on the show, but I really love the work they're doing in helping parents be the best they can be. It takes a village, people. It's not a joke. It really takes a village. And these 4 women will definitely have your back as a new parent. My friend and colleague, Harley Salazar, you can find her at harleysalazar.com. That's HarleySalazar.com. And she works with burned out moms, and she helps them develop self-care strategies, because we all know that you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before your kid, right? And it's important to have a self-care routine in place before your baby is born so you don't burn out. Self-care is so important, and it's important to continue that even in the early days of infanthood, when you're up all night and getting adequate rest is really hard. And she has like mommy circles, which she works with ladies to help develop self-care rituals. Okay. Somebody else I also had on the show, I cannot say enough about. Marcella DeRosa is a certified sleep and well-being specialist, and she's trained through the Isla Grace sleep technique, which is an infant-led sleep program. She's also a certified birth doula. Her website is bornwithlovesleep.com. And she helps you understand your baby's sleep rhythms and patterns as they grow and develop. And she is so well-versed on all things bed sharing and co-sleeping. Like I said, I am not a proponent of sleep training. If your baby stops crying, it's because they've given up, because nobody's coming for them. This does not promote a secure attachment. So if you're struggling as a new mom, trying to understand your baby's sleep patterns, because they will change as they grow, they change when they're teething, et cetera. She is a great resource. Another woman, I love her Instagram. I wish I have her book. I'm saving this book for my grandchildren when I'm a grandma. And her name's Susie Allison. Her website is busytoddler.com. She's got a book called Actual Parenting. And what I love about her book is that it is a plethora of resources for unstructured play, creative play. She's just got these amazing ideas for young children, just to keep them, to actually promote learning and play. She's an early childhood education advocate. She's a former teacher, and she has 3 kids, and her mission is to bring hands-on learning and play back to childhood. And she has a ton of free resources. And like I said, she has a great Instagram. And lastly, dandelionseeds.com is Sarah Moore's website. She is a master trainer with the Jai Institute for Parenting. She has a great YouTube channel with interviews with several well-known child development authors like Daniel Siegel. And she is such a great resource if you learn better by watching and listening than reading. such a great YouTube channel. So the bottom line, there are so many resources out there that can help you explore the world of conscious parenting. So check out the websites. Okay, on to number 7. On my list of ways to prepare for peaceful parenthood, it's kind of obvious, but it can be a game changer. And that's to take care of other people's kid or kids for a few hours or maybe even a day. Maybe you never babysat for a child and just the thought of it intimidates you. I assure you, spending a day with an infant or a toddler will be a good temperature check to see if you feel ready to be a parent. Parenting is hard. It's one of the most challenging and rewarding jobs out there, but it can also be really tough to imagine what it's really going to be like when you have your own little one to look after. That's why watching someone else's kids can be so helpful. You get to see how they handle different situations, maybe learn some gentle parenting techniques along the way, and it's an opportunity for you to test your patience and capacity for play, for like unstructured play or structure. So let's do a quick recap before we get on to the eighth way to prepare for peaceful parenting. So we first said we're going to talk to other parents about what it's like to be a parent today. What did they wish they knew? What didn't they feel prepared for? Ask your friends, ask your aunts, your uncles, ask your parents. Okay, number 2, explore your intentions as a parent. What kind of qualities do you want to bring to your parenting style? What are the intentions of your partner? These are really important things to have a sit down and talk about before you even think about having a family, in my opinion. Okay, number 3, explore your values as a person for your child and your family. Because what that does is you basically create a mission statement for your family of the values that you stand for that you can use as a tool when you are diffusing conflicts. Number 4 was remember your childhood. What didn't you like? What did you love? I have a story. It's every time I think of it, I crack up. So we lived in a little house. It was a coach house behind my grandmother and grandfather's house. And there was a tiny house with one bathroom, which was basically in the middle of the house. And every time I would get mad, I would go into the bathroom. My mom always kept Ajax, throwback if anybody remembers Ajax, in there. And I would go to town screaming and hollering at the top of my lungs, saying horrible things about my mom, calling her mean, the worst mom ever, I can't believe you, blah, blah, blah. But I would go to town with the sponge and the Ajax. I would scrub the tub, I would scrub the sink, I would clean until I worked out all of my anger and emotions. And then I would come out and I would say, hi. And I would be so happy. And my mom always laughed and thought that was so ridiculous. But the thing is, she could have handled that completely differently. She could have gotten really upset with me for saying all those horrible things and saying that I was being rude or disrespectful, to calm down. She never did. She just let me have at it. Maybe because I was cleaning the bathroom in the process, but she just let me process my emotions without any judgment. And I took that into my parenting. It was like, sometimes your kids just need you to be their soft place to fall. And they just are going to take stuff out on you, and don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. Okay. So remembering your childhood. 5, the big beefy one was do your research. Research the latest science. There is so much more available now than when I had my kids 27 years ago. Okay, 6 was visit websites. We just talked about that. So many awesome websites out there to support you in your parenting journey. 7, watch someone else's kids. Duh, it's like a baptism of fire, but I assure you, you will know pretty fast if you're ready or not to start your family. Okay, drum roll. Number 8, and you guys know this is coming. Take a parenting course. Yes, you can take a parenting course before you have kids. There are many JAI certified coaches who took the course before they had kids. That's precisely why they took the course, not necessarily to coach. You don't have to wait until you're exhausted or in crisis mode to take a parenting course. As you know, I'm certified as a parenting coach through the JAI Institute for Parenting. And I chose that program because the curriculum aligns closely with the way I chose to parent my kids, long before the science-backed attachment style parenting was a thing. And now I'm feeling really inspired to be able to share this work with other parents. In my business, I work with parents who choose to break the generational cycles and patterns that keep them from building deep connections with their kids. My clients come to me because they're tired of constantly battling with their kids and want to find new ways of communicating without yelling, without screaming, without threats or punishment. But think of the impact you can make on future generations, your own future family, if you take a course before you even start that family. During our work together, we'll meet for 12-ish sessions where we work through your history, clarify your family values and worth, and work through the peaceful parenting process. Several units cover the topics I discussed today, such as attachment science, nervous system science, brain science, and emotional intelligence. All important things to know before you bring your little one into the world. The results will inspire deeper connections and a future with less yelling and fighting, and the skills to manage any tough parenting moment. I've come to realize that many people don't know what is truly possible for themselves and their families when it comes to creating the kind of relationship they want with their children. I'm seeing firsthand the impact that this work has, and I want to share that with as many parents as possible, especially before you even start your family. I believe every parent and child deserves to experience this kind of connection and harmony in their lives. So if you're thinking of starting a family, or you know anyone you might feel might benefit from this work, I would love if you would pass my name along to them. I work with people from all over the country by Zoom or by phone. And if you visit my website at susandolci.com, that's Dolci, D-O-L-C-I, susandolci.com. If I'm not the right parenting coach for their specific situation or your situation, I will gladly refer you to a colleague who is better suited. I have no issues with that because my goal is for the kids. My goal is to help parents be the best parents that they can be, which creates a path for for future generations to be able to express their full authentic self. And Jai has a directory of several coaches who specialize in everything from neurodiversity to learning differences. And just FYI, many of them are also licensed psychologists and pediatricians. I am not, but again, I am happy to refer you to a colleague that can help you with whatever situation you might need that I might not be able to address. So you can sign up for a free 30-minute clarity call on my website. If you scroll down almost to the bottom, there's a link where you can, there's an arrow and you can sign up for, goes you right to my Calendly, and you can sign up for a 30-minute, free 30-minute clarity call. That's a lot of words today. So I hope you enjoyed or got something out of these 8 ways. I hope maybe it opened some eyes for those of you who are thinking about starting families. Parenting, as I say, isn't about perfection. There's no such thing as a perfect parent. So please don't go into parenthood with that goal in mind. Conscious parenting is about allowing your children to be your awakening. Thanks for listening, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for being a part of the Awakened Parent Project. My goal with this show is to help us all become more compassionate and engaged parents by diving into the many techniques and ideologies of the conscious parenting community. This is a safe space to embark on a practical and spiritual journey of self-exploration and expand our ideas about conscious parenting. Got thoughts, questions, ideas? I want to hear from you. Reach out to me if there's a topic you'd like to hear covered on the show, or to share your conscious parenting story by visiting susandolci.com.